Are you struggling with some of the toughest bosses in Elden Ring? Or maybe you're just looking to try a new style of play that makes the game fun? Today, we will be going over a build that has a 78% damage bonus and a 47% damage negation without Scatter Tree Fragments. The build shreds bosses, making the game a breeze. Best of all, it has passive damage bonuses that you do not need to do much to activate. We'll cover what you need for the build, how to get these items, and break down how to use it effectively. Let's dive in. This build will have all these buffs active without you switching between 20 spells, weapons, and armor pieces. Our build focuses on high damage output with easy to proc buffs and powerful bleed damage. It has upwards of 78% damage buffs that are easy to activate, and an upward of 47% damage negation that is also very easy to activate. It is amazing against bosses with janky hitboxes and also easy to use by spamming your skill back to back. The best thing about it is the massive bleed damage that works against almost all bosses. But as with any build, there are weaknesses. It is a little bit risky since you will be constantly losing a tiny bit of health. Do not worry, the build will offset most of it. To get the Hornsent Sword, follow these steps. Look for Hornsent in 3-pad cross Site of Grace and exhaust his dialogue. Defeat the Divine Beast Dancing Lion and Relana. Find the Hornsent in the High Road cross Site of Grace and exhaust his dialogue. Exhaust Letta's dialogue right next to him and ask her about the Hornsent. Approach the Shadowkeep Gate to break the charm, and return to the High Road cross Site of Grace and exhaust the Hornsent's dialogue again. Exhaust Letta's dialogue and choose to target the Hornsent. Head back to the Shadowkeep Gate and eliminate the Hippo, and follow the left until you see the invasion signs. Help Letta eliminate the Hornsent to receive all of his items. When you get the sword, level it up to the max, and since it uses somber smithing stones, it is very easy to level up. Golden Vow is the next thing. The Ash of War is obtained by defeating the mounted Godric Knight on the cliff southwest above the Death Touch catacombs in Limgrave. Apply the Ash of War to the lightest dagger you have. You can purchase one from the Twin Maiden and put it in the second slot. As for the armor, to get the armor simply defeat Black Gale Knight, found here near the starting area of the DLC. Feel free to use any armor you are comfortable with. You mainly want above 51 poise and the highest defense since you're gonna be trading a lot with bosses. Millenia's Great Rune will allow you to recover HP when attacking after taking damage, making it ideal for trading hits with bosses. It fits in really well with this build. It drops from Millenia and can be activated at the Tower of Return in Weeping Peninsula. If you do not have it or prefer not to use it, any other Great Rune will work just fine. Do not stress about it. For the Wondrous Physique mix, we're gonna use an interesting combination. First, we're gonna need the Blood-Sucking Crack tier, which raises your attack power by 20% for 3 minutes at the expense of losing your health. You can obtain this one by defeating the Wickerman found in this area. To offset the health loss, we're gonna use the Crimson Burst Crystal tier, which heals you 7 HP per second for 3 minutes. It is perfect to offset the health loss from the Blood-Sucking tier. You can find it in this area. As for the talismans of choice, we will have 3 that are boosting the damage and 1 that is helping with survivability. The first slot, Shard of Alexander, boosts skill attack power by 15%, a passive 15% buff that you will always have to your skill attacks. The second slot, Lord of Blood's Exaltation, which raises attack power by 20% for 20 seconds when blood loss occurs in the vicinity. This is perfect because blood loss will constantly happen while you're fighting. The third slot, we will use the Rotten Winged Sword Insignia, which increases the attack power by 13% with consecutive hits. It is very easy to proc, just land 3 hits, which you're going to do while you're fighting a boss. All of these talismans will be providing you with a 48% damage buff that is passively happening as you're fighting the boss. The 4 talisman slot for survivability. Use talismans like the Flame Drake against fire bosses like Mesmer, the Golden Braid against holy bosses like Consort or Dawn, the Dragon Crest Shield against physical bosses like Relana, or the Crimson Sea Talisman for overall HP regeneration from flasks. With all that information, let's take a look at the buffs in action one by one. This is the damage with no buffs. Shard of Alexander gives 15%. Exaltation boosts it to 35%. Insignia stacks to 48%. Bloodsucking and Golden Vow will boost the overall to 78%. That is insane. And all of it is mostly passive, except Golden Vow. You are probably to proc all of them in a fight without thinking about it. Here's the ideal stat distribution for this build. 60 Vigor to ensure you're not stressed about health loss. 30 Mind so you can spam your skill without worrying about FP. And since your weapon skill is the main start of this build, 40 to 50 Endurance for stamina and the ability to wear heavy armor with great defense and poise. Also, you'll be spamming a lot of attacks so you don't have to worry about stamina. 12 Strength, just enough to meet the minimum requirements for the sword. And between 50 and 70 Dexterity, depending on your level, to boost the sword's damage overall. Now let's talk about how to use the build effectively. First, consume a rune arc to activate Millenia's Great Rune. Eat a boiled crab for 20% damage negation. Switch to your dagger and apply Golden Vow and switch back to your sword. Use your physique flask before entering a boss fight. Your health will start to tick down, but most of it will be offset by the Crimson Burst tier. As for the combat, start with 2 light attacks to stack the Rotten Wind Sword insignia. Follow up with skill spamming, dodging between boss attacks. Keep an eye on your health and manage it as you spam your skills. If the boss distances itself, use the charged attack to close up the gap quickly. The build entirely relies on you spamming your skill, so have like 3 flasks of FP on standby in case you run out. And there you have it. This weapon is absolutely broken and fun to use. With this build, you'll be shredding through bosses in no time. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more Elden Ring. And if you want to see a chunker build that can tank everything in the game, check this video out. Until next time, peace.